Hi guys, Lee Anderson, as we know, isn't the sharpest tool in the box, and he seems willing to demonstrate that on an almost daily basis. He took a clip from a speech RMT General Secretary Mick Lynch gave recently on the rights of both British workers and migrant workers. Mick of course believes they should be protected under the law, but Lee Anderson responded to this in a way that demonstrates that he didn't understand what Mick is actually saying, or he doesn't understand the term illegal. Before we get to read what Lee Anderson said on Twitter, let's hear what Mick had to say.
Every worker has the same rights as every other worker and should be on the same set of terms and conditions. And that's whether you've been here as a migrant for a long time with your family, or whether you're a new migrant seeking to come into the country, whether it be on a boat or whether it's on an airplane or whatever. Nobody is illegal. Nobody should be discriminated against.
Okay, of course this clip was cut in order to take out the speech out of context, but it doesn't really matter because what Mick has said here is actually true. Workers need to be protected irrespective if they are British workers or migrant workers. But let's see what Lee Anderson had to say to that. So he posted this on Twitter. He really said this and then points to the clip, and then he says, "Imagine actually thinking that illegal migrants are not illegal migrants and should be given a job with the same rights as British workers when they arrive here illegally by boat." A lot of illegal used here because Lee Anderson knows his supporters are stupid and they get triggered by the word illegal and oh, okay, we need to do something about all these illegal migrants. So the main point here, what Lee Anderson is trying to do is he's trying to convince the public that migrant workers are going to come and take British jobs. And a way of doing that is having the same rights as British workers. So Lee Anderson is not for protecting rights of workers. He's pretending to be for protecting the rights of British workers. Now, how do you identify a British worker from a migrant worker? Because somebody could have arrived many years ago. They're not a British citizen. They're doing the same job as a British citizen. Mick Lynch wants them to have the same rights. Lee Anderson doesn't. Now, how do you create a law where somebody, one worker has protections and the other doesn't? And what does that do for a society? And what does that do for a company? So a company is more likely to hire workers with fewer rights than workers with more rights. And then you have the racists and bigots and Lee Anderson supporters and Lee Anderson himself saying, why aren't we hiring more British people? See, Lee Anderson supports in his tweet here, I believe, a two-tier system where so-called British workers have more rights than so-called illegal migrant worker or migrant workers. So he wants to create a two-tier system. And of course, the migrant workers will have fewer rights. So who do you think exploitive business owners are going to employ? British workers with more rights or migrants with fewer rights? So this is what Mick Lynch is rallying against. He wants everyone to have the same rights because then everyone is protected. What's wrong with that? Unless you're a racist and bigot. But even if you are a racist and bigot, you'll realize that, well, the employers are going to hire foreign workers and not British workers. So even if the racists and bigots try to push a policy where you have a two-tier rights system, they're going to shoot themselves in the foot. Now, either Lee Anderson doesn't understand that, or he clearly does, and he doesn't care. Then he goes on to say, not even a DBS check from Labour's puppet master. Why? DBS check is checking whether somebody has a criminal record. Now, when it comes to checks, the Tories will say, we need to check these migrants. We need to find out if they're illegal, they're criminals, whatever. But they don't want to process the claims. So you don't want to invest the resources necessary to process people's claims. And then if they have, if they don't have a legitimate claim, they can be deported. You don't want to do that. But you're complaining about, well, why aren't we doing DBS checks on these people? Makes no sense. But of course, it doesn't have to make sense because Lee Anderson's supporters don't have enough neurons to rub together to understand the reality of the situation. And finally, puppet masters. Mick Lynch has said, I don't know on how many occasions, that the Labour Party, sorry, the RMT union that he represents is not affiliated with the Labour Party. So he has no influence over the Labour Party. Now, he can criticise the Labour Party. He has criticised Keir Starmer in the past, and he's fully within his rights to do so. But he's completely free to do it also because his organisation is not affiliated with the Labour Party. Now, Lee Anderson, once again, knows this. He knows that the RMT are not affiliated with Labour, but he will sell this as an idea to his supporters because, once again, his supporters are too stupid to understand that. Well, Lee Anderson said that Mick Lynch is Labour's puppet master, then that must be true. Because Lee Anderson wouldn't lie. Okay. He's obviously lied here, but it doesn't make any difference. Because the people who are angry, it's easy to make them even more angrier. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.